and welcome to Encuentro 2008. This is the first time that we will be holding a series of convocations or symposiums of this nature. So it is with great delight that I would like to welcome you all today. As I mentioned before, this is a culmination of a very, very focused effort between ourselves and the University of Madrid. So it's with great delight that we are here today. This is intended to be a symposium that leads to a larger conference that we will have in April 2008. So it is not intended to be a solution-based process right now, but we do intend to point to some serious positive things that we think are happening within the basin, the Euro-Mediterranean basin. On my left here, you will notice a poster entitled Le Trois, a third perspective. The Euro-Mediterranean Progressive Policy Institute is intended to be the third perspective. It is intended to make the tough decisions, not left or right, but to focus us on the difficulties that that one must go through to enable progressive, sustainable development and decisions and development. This morning I shared with a few of our colleagues here that the first grant that was given by GSED, the Global Institute for Strategic Economic Development, was given to a student at the Lehigh University who had fled his country in Tanzania as a result of personal harm because he was doing his work. He was making tough decisions and doing the things that others would not dare do. This young man was a son of a past Minister of Foreign Affairs of Tanzania and is an economic student. He ended up working within a World Bank funded project, and after a few months realized that there was corruption taking place, massive corruption. He then wrote a report. The first report led to a few death threats. He then wrote a second report, and his family received death threats. He then was able to, with the help of a few Western governments, get to Switzerland and ended up at Lehigh University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. What his experience was is that he was willing to fight and to make difficult decisions for the betterment of his country. We published his report. GSED was the only organization that would give him the funds to publish that report. It was the first publication that we did. No single press in the United States we needed a big press to print the report. It was eventually printed with the help of the Lehigh Coker Institute at Lehigh University and the Lehigh University itself. And so, going back to our original history, we have always wanted to support those people that dared to think differently, that dared to be progressive. Progressive policies are not easy policies. They're not meant for the faint-hearted. So today, we are going to be welcoming and we will have the chance to we actually have the chance to be in the presence of one of the leaders in the Euro-Mediterranean basin who launched many initiatives during his active time in leadership in government in regards to progressive policies within the Euro-Mediterranean region. Without any further ado, I would like to invite the Honorable, His Excellency, Dr. Guido De Marco, to come forward to give us a welcome speech. Thank you. Absolutely not.
Mr. Chairman, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. we are facing a problem with the Mediterranean. We have new so-called philosophers who say that we have reached the end of history. When the Cold War ended, the idea was the end of history, Fukuyama. But the new philosophy is, that is, the future lies in conflict of civilizations. When we speak about conflict of civilizations, they believe that between the so-called West, which incorporates Europe and the United States and other countries, and Islam, there is bound to be a conflict. We happen to be here, all of us here now today are in Malta. Malta happens to be at the center of the Mediterranean. If we were to accept this philosophy of conflict, it means that we are saying to our children, to our grandchildren, that Malta is to be the center of a conflict between the West and Islam. Because when the pseudo-philosophers advance the philosophy of conflict, they are not saying it's a conflict between Buddhism and Islam. What they mean to say is that this is a conflict between Christianity and Islam. Civilizations do not conflict. Religions do not conflict. People do conflict. Persons who want to instrumentalize civilization or a religion may create conflicts, but not civilizations, not religions. And we here in the Mediterranean are the birthplace of the three great monotheistic religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Here is the birthplace of these three great religions, three great monotheistic religions. How are we to live? What do we believe is the future of our region? Is it true that this is going to be the region of conflict for the future? If it is so, then we as politicians of the Mediterranean have failed. We have to ensure what is the right direction for us. If the Mediterranean is going to be divided in two, in conflict with each other, the European part in conflict with the southern part, if it means that few kilometers away from us is a place of conflict, we are really hypothecating our future to a future where our children and the children of those who live in just southern part of us will end up against each other. We can make of the Mediterranean either a sea which brings us together, or we can make of it a sea of conflict. So when, with Mr. Sampson, we started discussing this symposium here, I tried to focus the attention on what this foundation can mean to make us all more aware of what the Mediterranean is. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I wish you success in these discussions.
At this time, I'd like to invite Joaquim Tamara Espot from the Ministry of Home Affairs in Spain to speak to us, share his practical experience as we will invite his Senegalese colleague in a few minutes.
En primer lugar, respecto de la inmigración legal, entendiendo que la migración se presenta como una oportunidad, pretende dar respuesta a dos desafíos que se presentan de forma distinta a un lado u otro. Es decir, como decía el expresidente hace un momento, evitar cualquier núcleo de conflicto derivado de malos entendidos o de malos entendimientos o de conflictos, cualquiera sea su naturaleza religiosa, cultural o social. Para ello es fundamental proveer mecanismos activos por parte del Estado que permitan la formación por una parte, el conocimiento de la lengua, el conocimiento de las instituciones del país, la realidad del país de destino y sobre todo el reconocimiento de algunos derechos básicos que permitan verse reconocidas o verse legitimadas a estas personas.
Pourquoi cette coopération aussi avec l'Espagne tient compte parfaitement de cette donne et aide le Sénégal à se doter des moyens de contrôler, non seulement de démanteler les réseaux, mais également de surveiller nos côtes. Parce que nous avons 700 km de côtes, que nous n'avons pas les moyens avec nos mêmes possibilités de pays en développement de pouvoir gérer avec efficacité. De ce point de vue, il y a un acte extrêmement important de cette opération. Alors tout ceci pour dire quoi? La quatrième donnée, troisième donnée, quatrième donnée importante qui marque cette coopération, c'est justement cette approche qui consiste à avoir une vision à la fois et sécuritaire et de développement du problème de la migration. Jusque-là, les logiques dominantes sont des logiques de sécurité.
Just before we break, there's two things we'd like to do. First, I'd like to welcome the Shadow Minister, the Honourable Helena Dali, Member of Parliament, and also Mr. Robert Metcalf, Vice President of the International Student Movement of the United Nations. Welcome. At this time, I'd like to invite the two presenters, the two main presenters, to receive an award that we're presenting to them.